Welcome to A Lady Well Traveled. I'm your host and creator, Shannon Bednarova, and I'm delighted that you've joined me today. If you're new to the broadcast, I'm here to help you transform the whole of your traveling experience into one that's less stressful and, above all, more enriching and pleasurable. I've spent my life traveling, and I want to share what I've learned with you so that you can breeze into your next dream destination confident and capable, prepared, and ready to enjoy yourself. In this episode, we're going to discuss everything you need to know about foreign currency and credit cards for your next trip. For those of you who've been following along, I've just recently returned from a 2-month stint abroad. So this information should be relevant and fresh, at least for the EU and the British Isles. Whenever you're traveling to another country, it's incumbent upon you to do your research to find out about the currency, exchange rate, if your bank does business in that country, whether you can use your ATM card in that country, etc. Some of the larger American banks, for example, do business and have offices in the EU. However, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're the same as your bank branch at home, or that you can just simply waltz in and bank there just like you do at home. It's important to understand this before you travel because you want to be well prepared for your trip, and that means having adequate funds. Whenever I travel abroad, I start looking at the exchange rates about 2 months in advance, and I look online and I compare them. Most banks or credit unions will require that you be a customer in order for them to handle currency exchange transactions for you. Some will even do this free of charge or for a very nominal fee. I try to get an idea of what the base rate is and find out where it's heading compared to the US dollar. When I think I have a competitive rate for the exchange, I either go online or to my local bank and order the foreign currency for my upcoming trip. Now, with some banks or credit unions, they may even allow you to complete this transaction by phone. You may ask, Shannon, how much currency is the right amount to order for my trip? And that's really entirely up to you, your spending habits, the length of your trip, and what you plan to do on your trip. For my last trip, I ordered 1,500 euros and 1,000 pounds. Even though I planned to spend about a month in the British Isles and about a month in other EU countries. The reason I based my currency order on the places I was going to visit was really how populated and touristy they were, whether I felt the places that I would be going would accept credit cards widely, or whether they would be more willing to accept cash. I knew that I was headed into the wilds of Scotland and that I might have trouble finding credit card readers in some of the places that I was going to be going. I also knew that I was going to be doing some tipping for tour guides, taxi drivers, bus drivers, and I wanted to have some cash available. I also knew that I would be visiting many different street markets and locations where some of the vendors may not be able to accept credit cards and could only accept cash. I also know that the street or market vendors are much more willing to negotiate their prices when you have cash in hand versus using a credit card for purchases. As you can see, there are many factors that influence my decision on how much foreign currency to order. Some banks, whether it be your local branch or online, will charge you a fee for getting your foreign currency. This is pretty much standard operating practice, and it's usually a percentage of the total amount of currency you order, or they may also simply charge you a flat fee. To order currency, you either have to go to your local bank and fill out a form and sign it, or you can fill out that form online, or some banks will allow you to do it by phone. You then transfer the funds and the foreign currency will be sent to you in the mail. Some banks will allow you to do this by phone. Some banks will require that you come to the local branch to pick up your currency. Remember, you will likely not get the exact same amount of currency back unless the exchange rate is 1 to 1. You may get more and you may get less. You'll also need to specify if you want to exchange 1,000 US dollars for euros or enough US dollars to equal 1,000 euros, for example. You can also tell the bank how you'd like to receive your currency. That means what kind of notes you want. My recommendation is that you get plenty of the smaller bills for tips, for example, getting £5 notes and €5 notes, as they're especially helpful. Getting larger bills is certainly great if you plan on paying for hotels, your tours, or some of your restaurant and dining out with cash. But having those smaller bills, the £5 and £10 notes and €5 and €10 notes, are very helpful for tipping. Now, it can take anywhere from a day or two to up to a week to get your currency. I do not recommend waiting until you get to your departure airport to exchange money, or doing so at your arrival airport in the foreign country. You'll more than likely get a worse exchange rate, as they know you're an inexperienced traveler who waited until the very, very last minute to exchange money. You don't want to do that. I would also exercise caution using exchange companies in very touristy areas in large foreign cities, because these too can be tourist traps. Believe me, they're on the lookout for people who are waiting until the last minute to exchange money and will be desperate to do so. Now, understand that any paper foreign currency that you bring home with you can always be sent back to the bank for exchange into US dollars. Alternatively, you can do this at many post offices in the British Isles or at other exchange outlets. Again, you want to make sure that you check the exchange rate and the service charges before giving them your currency for exchange to ensure you're getting a competitive exchange rate. You'll want to understand that any foreign coinage you get while on your trip will not be able to be exchanged when you get home. That means all those cute little coins, don't bring them home if you can help it, because you're not going to be able to take them back to the bank to exchange. Banks don't want to bother with those coins. It's going to be up to you to spend those before you come home. I try to make a habit to use my coins as I go throughout the trip. Now, if you're using British coins or EU coins and they intimidate you, simply Google them and learn about them. It's really easy, and you understand what they look like and their value. They're basically the same as American coins, except they don't have pennies, but guess what? Now we don't either. They have £1 and £2 coins in Europe, whereas in the United States we have a $1 bill. These coins are great for tipping hotel maids, buying small items at the convenience store, and when using a public toilet, to buy some goodies on the train. If these coins just drive you crazy, you just don't know how to use them, you can hold out your hand a lot with coins in them, and the wonderful clerks in the shops will help pick out the coins for the right amounts, and they're just so sweet and kind. So thank them if they help you for doing so. And if all else fails, use them to buy last minute gifts at the duty free shop. I think this is something that many of us have done in the airport right before we've come home. Googling foreign currency and learning about it before heading to your destination simply makes a lot of sense. And it should be a part of anyone's pre-travel research. Whether you're headed to Botswana, they have currency called the Pula, Bolivia with the Boliviano, Mongolia with the Tuareg, or Indonesia with the Rupiah. When I first started traveling abroad when I was 16, American Express traveler's checks, spelled with a Q, mind you, were the only way to travel and carry money safely. Nowadays, traveler's checks do still exist, but they've gone the way of the Walkman, rotary phone, and Model T. You simply never see them. Credit cards are where it's at, and I've never seen them as widely accepted as I have on my last trip, as it seemed almost everyone, from the guys who'd mysteriously show up whenever it started raining to sell umbrellas, to all of the market vendors who sell random stuff like hookahs and I Love London magnets in the stalls. Everybody had credit card readers. You have to love technology, don't you? Now, MasterCard seems to be the preferred credit card, although Visa is still widely used. Not so much American Express, which again used to be the only credit card accepted for overseas travel. Now, hardly anyone accepts it anymore, especially in the EU and British Isles. Why? Because of their high administrative fees. It's, 2 to 3%. Sometimes up to 4% of the charge. They're pricing themselves totally out of the market. It's a shame because many of us have had a long relationship with American Express, and now we pretty much can't use it overseas except at some of the better hotels and restaurants. I actually left my American Express card at home on this last trip because I felt it would just be something else to keep up with, one more card, and I just felt it wouldn't add any value to my trip. And boy, was I correct. My traveling companion to Scotland and the British Isles, Paula, had one heck of a time with her Amex card. It was astonishing how few businesses would accept it for transactions. So if you're planning a trip in the near future and you only have an Amex card, my recommendation for you is get another credit card, a MasterCard or a Visa, as soon as you possibly can. You may say, I'll just pay in cash. Well, whoa, Nelly. Many places in the EU and the British Isles don't accept cash anymore. That's right. They're careening headlong into a cashless society in Europe. Cash is just not often accepted at many places of business at all. And that was once considered a byproduct of the COVID epidemic, but now it's really become a reason not to accept cash anymore. And businesses amazingly seem willing to pay the associated merchant fees every time a credit card is used. Certainly, while these credit cards are incredibly convenient for people to whip out, you should also remain mindful of how often you're using them and how much you're spending, unless you're fabulously wealthy and you don't care to stay that way for very long. I love how most of the time in restaurants abroad, the server will bring the card reader to your table so that your credit card doesn't leave your sight. I wish that was how it was done in the United States. And I think it would be really helpful in reducing fraud and also with leaving your card in the restaurant because you place it on the reader yourself and your card never leaves your hand. That way, it doesn't get left in the little payment folder that they bring to you or on the payment tray with the merchant receipt, or the server doesn't forget to give your card back to you. It's also helpful when using your credit card to jot a quick note on the receipt immediately, like lunch or train ticket or tour to the fairy pools in Scotland. This helps you keep track of your expenditures and the sometimes confusing or impossible to decipher foreign credit card receipts. God forbid you spill a Coke on it or it get rained on. Because credit card fraud is an international business, you should always save your credit card receipts and reconcile them to your statement upon returning home. I carry a special plastic envelope with a Velcro closure in which I put my receipts when traveling. It helps me to stay organized and ready to work on my bookkeeping and expenses when I return from a trip. I hope you found this review of determining how much foreign currency you need for your trip, how to order it, and how to use it helpful, as well as the review of credit card norms in the EU and the British Isles. As always, I'd love your feedback on this or any other episode. And you can reach me at Shannon at aladywelltraveled.com. That's Shannon at aladywelltraveled.com with 2 L's in traveled. If you like the show, I'd appreciate a positive review from you. And please tell your friends and family to tune in on their favorite streaming platform. Please follow me on Instagram at A Lady Well Traveled, again with 2 L's, for photos of my recent trips and some video interviews that I've done. So until next time, remember that God loves you and He created this extraordinary world just for you. You simply have to get out there and see it for yourself. Bye bye.